Hello there, so in this video we will look at what could be your first ever lead guitar lesson, or more aimed towards the beginner lead guitar player. We're going to focus on some simple effective licks and all the fundamentals of lead guitar playing. So that little demonstration there was just me using certain patterns that I've learned over a certain group of chords that's playing in the background called a chord progression. So lead guitar is really just playing certain notes over certain chords, and obviously the challenge is to find notes that sound really good over certain chords. I'm not going into detailed theory in this video, it's just a practical way to get started with lead guitar. So all these licks that I'm showing you will work over a couple of backing tracks that I'm going to give you, and all your task is to learn some of these licks and get a backing track playing in the background, and you start playing them over the top, and I guarantee immediately it will start to sound like actual music. Okay, you don't have to worry about deeper theory reasons for now. I don't want you to worry about that. Just learn the licks and then get using them over some music. So all the licks I'm going to show you are part of something called the A minor pentatonic scale. You might already know that, or if that's totally new, that's fine. I'm not going to go into too much detail for now, but all of these licks come from just a certain pattern of notes called the A minor pentatonic scale. So let's look at the first lick. So just finger 1 and 3. So you're going to take first finger and it will start at fret 3 on your lowest string. Then the third finger will take care of the 5th fret of that string. So you're always going to have this little formation going throughout everything here. So that's 3, 5 in your low E, and do the same on the A string. So that's your first task to get that going. Now notice where my thumb is. It's not poking up over the top or over here or anything. Pretty much the thumb is in the middle of the shape I'm making over here. So it's actually at the 4th fret behind the neck. And you've got to experiment with where you can manage to have it. It depends on lots of things. The size of your hands, your flexibility, the size of the neck you're playing on. So you've got to experiment with that. But try and get it in the middle of the actual shape that you're making. And then you can get these fingers, they don't have to be all upright and curved like that. For a lot of things on guitar, like chords, we try and get the fingers upright and curved. With this kind of thing, you can have them more flat, and they can actually kind of hang over those other strings that you're not using. And you may have noticed that extra thing at the end. On the tab you'll see this wavy line, and that indicates something called vibrato. And all that means is you're going to manipulate the string, you're going to vibrate it, and it gives it that cool bluesy character. So I'll give you some advice for how to do that technique. So once you get to this 5th fret of that A string, just pick the note first, normal, without any vibrato. So let it ring for a sec, and then you're going to start to manipulate the string. Now what I'm going to recommend is, I would call this more slower, classy vibrato. We're not going to be trying to do, doing lots of rapid movement. I want you to try this for now. Pick the string and slowly manipulate it. So in this case, you're pulling the string down. If you push it up this way, it's going to be awkward. You'll almost go off the neck, essentially. So you're going to pull it down ever so slightly. And you're using these other fingers to help manipulate that string. So the third finger is where it should be. You can get those other two fingers available. Forget about the little finger. They can sit on that same string. And you can pull down and then let it come back to where it came from. Okay, that's all vibrato is. Now, it can take years to develop really good vibrato technique, so you've just got to be patient with this kind of thing. But what I recommend is stay calm when you're doing it. Don't get all tense and jittery. Just try and keep the movements controlled. Now, earlier I was saying get the thumb more in the middle of the shape that you're making. Now, there's always exceptions to these rules, if you will, on guitar. So once you get to do your vibrato part, you can afford to bring the thumb up a bit and grip the neck more like a baseball bat. You're kind of gripping it a bit harder, and it gives you a bit more purchase to manipulate that string. You can do it with it down the back like that. Nothing wrong with that. But if it feels more comfortable for you and you can get more purchase on the note, feel free to bring the thumb around. So as you're going through these, you might not be sure always where to put your pick. You might be tempted to kind of latch on here and pick like this. What I'm going to suggest is use this side of the guitar to rest on. Don't use that side. If you're doing this on acoustic, I would still recommend the same. By the way, it doesn't just apply to electric guitar. And the reason I suggest this is, if you latch on here, for example, if I play the very first lick, you know, that's okay. But what you'll find is that as you go further, you might start to hear other strings reverberate and accidentally come out. So if you lean this side on the guitar, it means you can move across the strings you're not using and actually just dampen them by having the hand sitting on them. So as I play in this area, I'm using this part of my hand to just rest on those lower couple of strings that I'm not using. It also makes the hand nice and steady, so you're not kind of searching for the strings so much. And you get real good access to the string to cut across it at a good angle. If you're like this, you're coming back, the pick's all straight. It's much more beneficial for your technique if you can get a slight angle and cut through the string. Okay, so that would be how I would recommend you set your picking hand up for all this. The next lick is the same formation, but we're just going to bump it to a different part of the neck. Go to fret 5 on your 4th string, and then just do all the same movements. So it's 5-7 on the 4th string, and 5-7 on the 3rd string. Now, what I would suggest here is, once you get to these skinny strings, you can kind of change which way you manipulate the string. Now, it's up to you. You could pull it down, or you could push it up. Now, you can make it sound the same either way. It's just whatever feels better for you. I always say with these things, practice it both ways to see what feels good for you. If I wasn't thinking about it, it just happens to come out that I would push it up as opposed to pull it down. And get those other fingers behind it. And as I was saying before, even though I suggest when you're playing these patterns, get the thumb in the middle of the shape, maybe more down the back of the neck like that. When you come to the part that you're going to do vibrato on, you can poke that thumb up a bit, grab the neck a bit more like a baseball bat, and it gives you a bit more purchase on the neck. You can do it with it down there. You know, it just depends on the situation, what you might do, but there's no harm in getting that thumb up for that, okay? The next lick is going to be the same formation as the other two, but we're just going to go to the second string, fret 8, and just do the same movement. Now you might notice here, we're going to run out of room, so you can't really pull the string down when you're doing vibrato, so you have to push it up in that case. And again, feel free to bring the thumb up and around if you need to. And when you're doing that vibrato, try and stay calm. Just think of even movements. You're always doing the same kind of movement on that string. Get those other fingers behind it to help you with the strength. And you can even practice it without even playing. Just practice this movement. Moving the string all over the neck. Just wherever you are, you can practice it that way. Then the next 3 licks are all going to be in the same spots, but they'll just be a variation. So here's the next one. So it's 3-5 on the 6th string, just 3 on the 5th string, and back to 5 on the 6th string. And again, we're ending up with that 3rd finger there, and we can do vibrato there. The next lick is just that formation now, but starting at fret 5 of the 4th string. And then the next lick is just that formation starting from fret 8 of the 2nd string. The next 3 licks are all in the same areas again, but again, the pattern is just different that we're playing. It's another variation. So we're kind of going backwards this time. Start on fret 5 of the 5th string there. And it's going to be 5-3 in the 5th string. And the same on the 6th string. But what'll be different here, you're going to have to do vibrato with the 1st finger. So you don't have other fingers to help you there. You just got to use what you can, the strength that you have in that 1st finger. Next lick we'll start at fret 7 of the 3rd string, same formation as the one you just did before. Next lick we'll start at fret 10 of the 1st string, same formation as those previous 2. And at this point, do you see how diagonal the fingers go in there? I'm not straight on. I'm not really ever too straight with any of these. There's always a bit of an angle, but especially there. You can go across the string at a diagonal angle as opposed to being straight on. You can do that, but I think it'll feel a bit more tense on your hand and your wrist. So lots of similarities with those previous 9 licks there. Then the 10th one, I'll just introduce something new for you. We'll call it a hammer on. So let's go to fret 5 of the 4th string. You're going to pick that note. And we're going to do something called a hammer on. Instead of picking the 7 next to it, we're not going to use the pick. We're going to slam that finger down, i.e. hammer it on. and then hopefully the note's going to pop out. So keep that first finger planted, don't have to move it. Try and slam that finger down fast. Let it ring for a sec, that 5th fret, and then slam that 3rd finger down on that 7th fret. Then do the same in the next string. And we're just going to end with the 5th fret there. You can pick that note again and apply some vibrato.